Take two, take two. Here we are. Yes, we had some trouble, and I don't know if you guys will be back or not, but my phone is stuck in an internal loop. Tried using my phone instead of my camera. Um, and you know how phones like kind of go to sleep on you? You know how that happens? Well, the phone went to sleep, and then it plunged the live video into a buffering zone. And it turns out that you cannot stop that unless you are inside the video. Um, so I've tried, stopping that old video from buffering, but I can't get into it. It's crazy. So I guess it's just gonna buffer in internet space forever. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna resolve itself. But anyway, so here we have an illustration for the Bizarchives. Um, as you can see here, we have a kind of a warrior in a cave, and there's these sort of humanoid spider creatures coming at him. You've got you've got a woman and a child here, sort of caught up in uh, webbing of some kind, And so that's what it is. Yeah, just trying to get some lighting on this a little bit better here. I don't know if that, maybe we don't want that on camera. Gonna get that off a bit, but so yeah, back, Dave. Sorry, I don't know what to do with the tech on this. It's weird. I don't want to use my camera because it sort of freaks out on me. You've seen it before, so I'll just kind of focus on the work again here. Let me get back into this. This particular image is interesting because it creates the challenge of making humanoid spiders, and how do you combine human anatomy with spider anatomy? It's an interesting challenge. So I came up with these designs. There's, of course, what's the film? It's Blade. I think it's Blade 2, where they have these kind of super vampires that drink the blood of other vampires. And it's a Guillermo del Toro film. I'm a big Guillermo del Toro fan. And of course, he also did Hellboy. And it's great. He's a big monster fan. He likes that kind of stuff. And I like that he uses kind of live action puppets. They, of course, don't. I don't know if puppet is the word, but he creates these creatures, uh, with real materials. And so the inspiration for these spiders were these super, what do you call them? Like super vampires, where their jaw kind of like super extends and opens up. This isn't nearly as sort of grotesque and fantastical as those particular characters, but it's a similar concept that I got going on here. Well, I can read the chat better now. Who we got here? Tamer of Horses. Did the stream cut off? So I was using my phone to do the streaming, and my phone fell asleep, and then this happened. So it had something to do with that. I'm really pissed off about it. But anyway, I've got that old camera, and so we're kind of back in action here a bit. I don't like using this camera because of the, what do you call it, the autofocus, but I've got it much closer, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. Uh, uh, Halig Shine, I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm ruining your name. It's great to see Art in Motion. It's great to have you here. Great to have you back. Artabach, Dave Martell is here. You ever see The Strain? The Strain, is that the one with, it's sort of like, it's another Guillermo del Toro film where it's sort of like half man, half cockroach or something, and he lives in the New York City subways. Is that the one? And yes, I have seen that, if that's the one. I think it's one of his earlier films. I forget who the actress is in it, but she's like a sort of, pretty popular, well-known actress. Um, yeah, and there you go. Interesting thing about doing this kind of work is when you do eyes, you you have to make sure that the eyes are pointing in the same direction, obviously, right? You know, and it's an interesting thing because I noticed this in film and television as well, that when they line up actors to do a scene and how they look at each other, and there's something kind of psychological to it, the way that where somebody's looking, it sort of makes your attention go into that direction. But also there's a kind of a light reflection in the eyes as well. That's an important component there. So I'm just going to give you a sort of a close up on this creepy guy. See if that focuses there. It's starting to tweak on me a bit. I'll leave that. But I'm loving this. I love this character and this scenario. It again, it kind of goes right back to all that kind of heavy metal, Warren magazine stuff that I grew up with. Very fanciful, great imagination. I think there's a lot to say for imagination. It's a really important. Oh, what do I want to say? Like imagination, I think, is an important life skill in a sense. That's not really the way I want to phrase it, but we need imagination And I mean, if you think about Western civilization, where would we be now without the imagination of people to, build and develop and design and all the things that we have? So I also want to kind of add this like nasty, stringy looking hair. They're kind of humanoid, right? So that's maybe they were designed in a laboratory or something with splicing human and spider DNA or something. And I think part of what makes them creepy is that stringy hair, like as if they're. I don't know if you've ever watched any videos about like alien abductions and hybrid human aliens. It's creepy stuff. It's very creepy stuff. Um, but they have like artist renditions of these characters, and they have this gross sort of stringy hair. It's a similar feeling. It's Del Toro's, but it's zombies, except they're controlled by parasitic worms. Ew. That's a Del Toro film right there. I'll have to look it up. Oh, The Strain. Yeah, I mean, I know the name. I'll have to look it up. It's weird. Ever since the pandemic or the plandemic, your local, what do you call it? Movie rental store, they all went out of business locally. So I'm not so sure that I'd be able to find it there, but that'd be the first place that I look. So I'll just have to go online, I guess. So it's interesting doing these pieces because, I have to build them up with tone. There's different ways that you do that, um, with pencil, with Copic markers. I've got all these kind of tonal markers that I use. And then with rendering, I use the kind of like the slashy sort of rendering lines that together make a tone. You can kind of, I'm using that in here, for example, but that's not pencil, that's the Copics. And then I fine tune like the anatomy here. And it's tricky because, I look at anatomy books to see, what do the back muscles look like, or how do the sort of the wing bones function. And then when you've got a character like this, you're combining real anatomy with sort of fantasy anatomy, I guess. So it creates some interesting challenges. I certainly use a lot of my comic book illustration skills in work like this, but I don't want it to look comic booky, if you know what I mean. Um, I think to some extent that's okay, but I just have to kind of sort of combine like fine art qualities with comic book illustration. And I feel like that visually is appealing in some way. What do you think? Is that, and from your perspective, what do you think about that? Is that a good aesthetic approach? Can leave something in the comments. What do we got? I'm reading your comments now. You ever see? Oh, Del Toro. Finally, I got a notification from YouTube in time to get here live. Welcome, Formal Zeno. Welcome, welcome. Me too. Imagination is priceless. My opening piece, The Silver Key in Bizarchives 2, is all about this. Good. You guys, bizarchives.com. I believe that's correct, Dave. Maybe you could put the link in there. The first issue of Bizarchives is just exploding. You guys definitely want to grab a copy. It's really, really good stuff. Next issue is where we're going to start using these illustrations. I'm crazy excited about it. I'm so proud to be a part of it. And yeah, so stay tuned. Let's see. We've got Bodacious. Sorry. See, this is why I use my phone, so I don't have this uh, camera problem. Bodacious says what? He says, "Have you read any Dean Koontz? A big theme is combination of organisms into monsters. I have not, and I guess that's something to do. That's cool that you refer to anatomy books. Of course, you gotta, you gotta. There's comic book anatomy and there's real anatomy, and the comic book stuff is it's more sort of overblown and imaginative. It's meant to be super, the when I started learning comic book illustration, I spoke to a lot of professionals in the industry, and it was some years ago, so it was fairly easy to reach out to them online, and a lot of them are very happy to give advice and assistance, etc. So anyway, that was one of the first things that I was told is that comic book art is the art of exaggeration, and there's a bit of that in here. I mean, but I want it to look realistic as well, right? It has to be real enough to make you buy the illusion, to buy into the fantasy of it, if you will. But then you kind of mm, expand on or extrapolate on that reality. Um, and different artists have different devices that they use. Some people are really good with light, others do kind of like really bombastic sort of anatomy and overblown kind of action. Um, I don't know. I look at my work, and this is a problem with artists is that you always want to look like the guy that you love or the style that you love, and you're going to show your influences and stuff. But art or let's say visual art is a lot like how can I say everybody has a signature. If you write your name, that's your signature, and the way that you write your name, you can't unwrite it that way. That is your signature. It's the way that you write. So it's the same thing with drawing. We kind of have some sort of, well, I don't know what it is. It's just something that the way we use a pencil or a pen, uh, yeah. So you kind of can't undo that. I think maybe you could, if you tried very hard. I saw a documentary about this guy who forged great works of art, and he got caught, and he was like a really seriously autistic kind of guy. He's sort of like not like an idiot savant sort of character, but just brilliant painter, and he was discovered. He had sold all these fake illustrations and paintings, drawings to major, major galleries in Europe. And then somehow or other, they discovered they were fakes. And somebody made a movie about him. And the guy had no remorse. He didn't even really understand, in a sense, that he was doing anything wrong. It's, I don't know. He's just a master at faking art and like classical art. And I can remember seeing like it was some kind of gallery or museum curator talking with him, and he was furious about this. Like there was some kind of issue going on, right? You can obviously imagine that this would, there'd be some legal, issues going on, but and the guy kind of like eventually realized that this artist who was doing this in some way is like a kind of a genius, and he kind of the art curator was kind of softened up to it a bit. He sort of realized like wow, this is quite amazing. There's something to this in its own light, in its own right, if you will. Um, I don't know how I got off on that wacky topic. Anyway, let's read some comments. Del Toro Zombies, Kunitz, Imagination. Let's see what else is going on. What is the name of that doc? I'll be darned if I can remember. I'm so sorry. I just stumbled upon it, kind of, cruising the internet one evening, and I really should have saved it or something. I'm sorry. I don't know. I suppose you can kind of like try to throw in some keywords, and see if you can find it. So here you've got this sort of, he's in a cave, and you have the kind of like stalagmite sort of structure here. And as the light goes out, it's going to get sort of darker as it goes, right? Well, how do you illustrate that? How do you demonstrate this? It's really challenging. I actually did quite a bit of thinking about this before I started. They always say think before you ink, and they ain't kidding. So, yeah, you can look at photos and illustrations, what have you, but a lot of that's just in my head. I'm an extremely visual person. When I see something and it makes an intense impact on me, I memorize it, and I'm not like trying to memorize it. It's just a natural kind of function of the way my brain is built, I suppose. The danger with that is that when I see a very extraordinarily beautiful woman, I just like become mush. I suppose a lot of men experience that, but for somebody who is visually oriented like myself, it's intoxicating. It's almost it's not good. You can't function, so you don't want to be like that. So what's nice about these ink brushes is that they have a like line weights, different, and you can kind of scumble it across the surface like this and make it look, like kind of have a sort of a rocky surface, which is quite nice. I'm trying to think of all the textures I have here. I've got steel, chainmail, beard, webbing, and rocks. It's quite a lot to work with. It's quite a lot to do. So you have to think before you ink. You know. Comments. What do we got? Is Nullis here? Hey, my buddy. Awesome. We got some great stuff coming down the line with Imperium Art and with Nullis's show on White Art Collective D Live, Conversations with the Wind. Anyway, what's the questions here? We got Dave. I love to create abominable creatures. Something about the mockery of human form gives an uncomfortable feeling in the subconscious, uncanny valley. Yeah, and what is it about this that we find so fascinating? There's some kind of weird human instinct, sort of a morbid curiosity that we have with these creatures of the night and all this stuff. It's pretty fascinating. And it's a big part of our folklore. I'm talking about my friends at Hearth of Europa, and they you wanna check out Hearth of Europa on D Live. They are how do I say they basically tell stories. They kind of revive and translate old folk stories, and it's a kind of a folk stories show. So we've got links in the shadows and Katrina. Katrina's from England. Lynx is, I believe, from Finland, and it's just they're really, really lovely ladies. So it's a really excellent part of our sphere, if you will. I don't know how to say that more eloquently, but it's really, really important to indulge in our arts and our culture. And it's just great. Hats off to people like Dave, people like Nullis, the girls at Hearth of Europa. We live in such a negative time, where our people are humiliated and demoralized in the media all the time. We don't need to we don't need to indulge ourselves in that garbage. We don't need to have that experience. We have our own media now. We have our own people, our own platforms, I guess, with all these shows. The whiteartcollective.com is a news aggregate for all this stuff as well. So you absolutely want to go and subscribe there. Check out, the recent news, who's doing what. Mama P from Mamas and the Pepes is doing a series of short interviews with people in our sphere. There's several interviews if you want to go check those out as well. And of course, there's so many shows on D Live every week. Um, yeah, good stuff. Greetings from Brazil. Oh, he's from excellent. Formosino is from Brazil. Great to have you. Thanks for sharing your artistic work with us. My nick is Formalin in Portuguese. Very nice. I love Portuguese music. Sorry, I love Brazilian music. Um, Big fan. Years ago, I used to teach English as a second language, and one of the schools that I worked in New York City exclusively had students from Brazil. So I had a really, really cool experience getting to know all those folks and working with them. It was a blast. But there's different kinds of world music that I'm interested in, and Brazilian music is freaking awesome. So it's another dimension of cool stuff to check out. I don't really know what's going on, in music in Brazil now. This was some years ago that I was into that. I wouldn't say that like I know, anything contemporary or anything like that, but uh, it's the beats. Bossa Nova, obviously, yeah, right. Let's see, just watch Thunder and Light. What is Thunder and Light? Is that a movie? I hope you liked it. Let's see. Okay. So these two ladies in the stuck in this kind of web and goo. That's a very complex, to be honest with you. I'm trying to let's see if I can get this up here a bit more. You can sort of see back of her in there. You can kind of see his leg and the shield interacting with this stuff. I have this child in the foreground. I just thought I wanted to make it's enough to have, like, maybe a sexy woman in there or whatever, but sort of maybe a mother and child thing. And then he's as a man, his sort of instinct of protection just goes bang, it pops, and he has this expression on his face, like, what the oh my God, I've got to get them out of here. Yet he doesn't know that, right behind him, there's this kind of army of Spider-Men about to attack. I'm always super careful when I'm inking the breasts. Cannot make a mistake there. there's a lot of different things going on here. I've got forms, I've got lines, I've got tones. It's a lot to orchestrate. It's a lot to try to juggle all these different aspects. I think as a musician, you've got rhythm, you've got feeling, you've got tempo. Uh, like if you're, say, a drummer, your job is to keep the tempo, steady. And bass players too. You have to lock in. You're part of the rhythm section. And if you're speeding up or slowing down, which is pretty natural to do, then it can throw off the other players. So, but as a visual artist, you're the whole band. You've got to make sure that all these different pieces and parts are working in concert, so to speak. No pun intended. Um, and I'd appreciate it if you guys would, maybe share this with others. I actually the what is it? The video that I was just doing that it got stuck in the buffering zone. I put that on unlisted. It's too bad because I was really talking about some interesting things in that video, and now it's kind of stuck in the unlisted zone. But anyway, yeah, if you would share, spread the love, as they say, I'd appreciate that. This kind of work, it's not just for, like the white positive sphere. I mean, there's a lot of people that like fantasy and sci-fi and all these various things. Oh, I'm getting a phone call from an important person, so you guys talk amongst yourselves. Hello. Hello there. Hey, hello. 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 Yeah, and I'll get back to you on everything else. Thank you. Thanks so much. Okay. Okay. I'm back. So now I get the official worst streamer award of the year because you don't leave your own stream. But, it's one of those deals where car inspection is due. The guy called, and there was no way that I could not take that call. I absolutely had to take that call. So I apologize so much. You guys are very, very kind to stick around. So now let's ask the question. Light and Thunder is the collaboration with Emma. I'm sorry. Okay, yes. Yeah, check that out for sure. Super dramatic. Amalek is extraordinary. I mean, the guy is he's top notch, and so this is an amazing collaboration. That's one of the cool things about White Art Collective is our collaborations. Um, so what do we got? It's great when you explain what you are drawing, increases the appreciation. I agree. I like that's what I like from other people's art streams as well. Dave Martell, make sure to emphasize the spider spine. Okay, that's a freaky part, no doubt. I like the women in the front. This piece is going to be excellent. I missed what he said. This is the moment. Insert good jokes. Carlo Tapu. I'm so bad at pronouncing names and ruining it, but welcome. Glad to have you, Carlo. S. Murfoni. He's doing more illustrations for Bizarchives. That's right. Um, I have to take care of things. Yes, I know. Yeah, once again, I'm so sorry. How next thing suddenly you look and you realize, oh my god, the month's almost over, got to get my car inspected, and it's just one of those can't avoid it deals with reality, right? So very bad news from the car inspection guy as well. I'm gonna have to like sell my liver to pay this damn thing, so that's not cool. But yeah, so if anybody is looking to have any art commissions, I would love that right now. That would really be sweet. Just tossing that out there. So yeah. But anyway, back to the art. So I think I'm going to take a little break from the ink, this sort of inking business here, because one of the dangers of that is overdoing things. It's very, very easy to overdo stuff. You get kind of carried away. So I'm going to go back to toning things. I'll start off with a lighter tone. This is like a 3 on a scale of 10. And I think I would like to get back in here a bit and create more dramatic shadows if I can, just to help build up the tension here and the contrast. So like as I put these shadows in here, it creates so like for example, if I put it around here, pops things out a bit more. I definitely believe we could put more in here. Again, I'm considering like here's the light, right? And so I have to make it get darker and darker as it goes out. That's actually pretty tricky to do. So we're gonna work on that a bit. A lot of different areas to work from. Let's see, her hip is gonna have a nice shadow on it here. I've got her kind of where like say this is her hip and her body is kind of twisted, like so. And then by putting some shadows in here, that pops the girl's face forward more. Let me pull it over in front of the light for you a bit. You see what I'm saying? When you've got these shadow areas. I would like to go darker, but you just, you can't have you can't have the control that you need if you do that too soon. It's a little dangerous, basically. kind of jump in here a bit. Maybe once in a while I'll see something too, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I gotta pop something in over there. So I kind of jump around. I feel like maybe his face could have more dramatic shadows in it. The thing is, you can't undo it. So if you're gonna go in, you gotta be pretty confident of what you're doing. Yeah, that's looking good. This creep over here, I figure they're kind of like, I wonder, maybe Dave can tell us about these spider men. Like, were they cursed? Are they victims of magic? Were they, designed in a laboratory? That'd be interesting to know. Uh, my autofocus. Oh well, the focus seems to be okay now. Just looping. Oh God, don't say that. So thanks again for coming and joining me on this stream. I don't know what happened the last time. Like I said, my phone fell asleep. I'll have to figure out how to change the settings on my phone so that it doesn't, you know, fall asleep so quickly or whatever. That seemed to trigger the what do you call it? The stream going shit in the bed basically. What do we got? Dave says there's a subterranean passage to the cursed underworld realm called Mirkwood. These creatures are lesser denizens of that realm, doomed souls reincarnated into twisted mockeries of nature. Wow. What would one have to do in one's life to create the karma that would make you reincarnated as a spider creature like these guys are? I'm sure there's lots of examples in our government right now. The thing I often think about is like, I would love to go to comic book conventions and sell this stuff, but like my identity is private, so it's one of those things I don't know if I'll ever be able to do. I thought about, getting one of those like Daft Punk masks, the sort of cool techno style masks and maybe a t-shirt that says americanzarathustra.com on it or something and doing that. Yeah, Dave, I see what you're saying over there. Um, So here it is. This is the work. It's looking like, well, the camera's tweaking on me a bit here. Let's just kind of zoom in a bit, let you guys have a look at some of the details. There's our hero right there. We've got this creepy weirdo in the background. We've got the sort of the victims here. A lot coming down the line with this. Dave says I have an obnoxious amount of lore written on this subject. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of writers will do a lot of backstory, and talk about just sort of like flesh out all the different characters and this, that, and the other thing. Well, here's the deal, McNeil. I am going to have to wrap it up. Like I said, I got that phone call about my car. Got to go pick it up, yada, yada. So I'm going to thank you guys so much for joining me for another live studio art stream on American Zarathustra. Once again, please share, please subscribe, like, comment, boost the algorithm, as they say. Um, a lot more art coming down the line. I've got in total, I think, I have about 12 illustrations for this issue. So there's going to be a lot more cool stuff. Once again, share, like, comment, etc. And I'm going to wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful day. You can check me out on Twitter at Amerizara. AmericanZarathustra.com links out to all of my media. I really appreciate your comments. Happy to talk and chat with you, answer questions. Um, Certainly, people who are into the arts, I think it probably really would get a lot out of this stream. There's going to be just so much cool stuff coming down the road with the new designs. The Bizarchives is such a cool project. I can't believe how lucky I am to be a part of it. So God bless. You guys have a blessed day. Be good, be the change, and keep on rocking in the free world. Take care.